of Nigeria's most ambitious infrastructure projects is steadily taking shape. The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, designed to connect major coastal states and improve transportation, trade, and tourism, is beginning to move from blueprint to reality. With visible construction activity and progress already recorded, many Nigerians are now watching closely to see how this transformative road could reshape movement across the southern corridor of the country. This is Space.com, and I am your host, Gimalo Angel Ologoke. Now remember, when we came here 2 years ago, that was when some beaches were demolished.
6 years of investment destroyed within 6 hours. Those are the exact words of the CEO and founder of Landmark Group, Mr. Paul Onwanibe. Now on April 29, 2024, the federal government came into this place that used to be known as Landmark Resort and destroyed it for the singular reason of creating the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. Now this, what we can say, is the remnant. This is the Atlantic Ocean. Wow, I am so relaxed. You know, I can see why people come here. I am so relaxed and as if I should just sit here for the rest of the evening. But this is where the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road will be passing. So I was thinking, you know, the way you have stops at Benin when you're traveling from Lagos to the southeast of Nigeria. So I'm wondering, maybe this is also a blessing in disguise for the beaches that were destroyed. So there might be stops for people, you know, people that want to buy something or want to see something, you know, want to just relax for maybe 30 minutes before they continue their journey. I think Landmark Group, Chula Beach, they still have some form of business going on, even with the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. It's not Lagos-Calabar Coastal Beach, it's the coastal road now, which the federal government is investing in. And Mr. David Mahi is really into this. He really wants to do it, and how he got approval from the government to work on the Sokoto-Badagry coastal road. So it looks like coastal roads have come to stay in Nigeria. But let's begin with this and see how far it goes. Meanwhile, I'm enjoying this beautiful Atlantic breeze.
Stretching from Lagos to Calabar, the coastal road is expected to pass through several states, linking communities, boosting commerce, and opening up new economic opportunities. The project is planned as a major coastal highway that will improve access between cities and reduce travel time along Nigeria's southern region. Since work began, construction teams have been seen clearing routes, laying foundations, and advancing key sections of the road. Heavy-duty equipment, engineers, and labor teams continue daily operations as different phases of the project progress. Now, government officials say the project is expected to stimulate investment in tourism, agriculture, housing, and logistics. Analysts also believe the highway could ease pressure on existing road networks and create a new development corridor across the coastline. Gbenga Adigun is a real estate expert and he sheds more light.
Yes, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Superhighway project is a very laudable initiative by the federal government. It is 700-kilometer stretch of road that would have an extensive value chain. It's a fantastic project because we know that if you look at the developed world, they are developed because they have free movement of goods and services and people. So this road is going to bring about free movement of goods and services and people. It's going to bring about cultural integration, regional economic integration. It's going to develop the economy in many ways. So yes, it's going to affect, all of that is going to come with a serious demand in housing. All of that will come with a serious demand in commercial property. All of them will come about, with a serious demand in other kinds of goods and services. So that would mean that, yes, property value along the stretch of the road will continue to appreciate. So it's a good time for people to look for ways to key in along that extensive value chain.
Already, some completed or advancing portions are showing what the larger vision may look like when fully realized. However, like many large-scale infrastructure projects, observers continue to monitor timelines, environmental concerns, and long-term execution. For now, one thing is clear. Progress is visible, and with each kilometer completed, the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road moves closer to becoming one of the most significant transport projects in Nigeria's recent history. Now let's look at the environment impact assessments. The planned route of the highway traverses sensitive areas like wetlands and mangroves. Reports claim that required environmental assessments did not occur. Concerns include impacts of heavy-duty machinery during construction, as well as post-construction impacts of soil erosion and increased surface water runoff, disturbing aquatic ecosystems. While some of the demolitions were on government right-of-way, which had been on the books for years and should have been vacant, portions of the highway's path were realigned to mitigate issues discovered as construction began.
We expect a lot of businesses to spring up, lots and lots of businesses to spring up. So businesses will be, haulages, for example, the haulage industry is going to be big. Goods and services will be moved between maybe from Lagos to Calabar or Delta or Ondo along that stretch. So there will be lots of demand for commercial property like offices, warehouses, storage facilities, and all these other kinds of properties. And of course, the people who work in all these businesses will want to live close to these businesses. So there will also be an upsurge in demand for housing. But a good thing developers and investors can look at is mass housing scheme. Because if this road comes into place and everything goes as planned, there's going to be a massive resettlement of people moving from the rural areas to the urban areas. That road is going to increase the urbanization rates that we have in Nigeria right now, which is at about 50.5%. We can see it move to as high as 60%, just that singular stretch of road. Because Lagos, again, still remains the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. Lagos, again, some people have argued, is the single failure point of the country, which means if Lagos fails, maybe Nigeria has failed. So there's also that statistic that about 5 people are moving to Lagos to resettle every minute. So if you put all this together, Lagos, there will be more demand for housing. So people can stretch and move further down instead of everybody concentrating at the center. Because that road is now there to convey people easily from wherever they are to the commercial nerve center. People will move down a bit along the stretch of the road where housing will be more affordable. So investors and developers can look again to play in commercial real estate and then of course mass housing schemes.
With growing interest in the opportunities emerging around the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway and many people already considering future investments in the corridor, what advice will you give to buyers looking to invest along the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road?
Yes, that's a very good question and it's very dicey. I'm saying that because projects like this are very massive. Projects like this might take very long to complete. If we go by the antecedents, we hope that is not the case, but if we are not careful, it can be an intergenerational project. Some simple projects as simple as Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, less than 120 kilometer distance, took over 10 years just to rehabilitate it. Some have argued that since the road is not existing, it's a fresh build. It's easier, fresh builds are faster to deploy because they are not stopping daily traffic to build it. It's just something you are building where it doesn't exist before, that it is faster. But if that is the case, how about the funding? So all of these are questions to ask if you're an investor and saying, I want to key into this project. How do I key into it? There's also that risk of making sure that you maybe you're looking at acquiring land, you acquire your land from the right people, so that in a few years the government does not say this land is not supposed to be here, it's against the plan, they demolish it. So those are the risk factors that investors have to look at. But again, commercial real estate, offices, warehouses, storage facilities, and all these other things would attract a lot of demand. Mass housing also would attract a lot of demand. Many other things can be done along that stretch. For example, other things investors can look at. People are thinking about sustainability. A 700-kilometer road that is brand new. Can the government ensure that there are CNG, compressed natural gas, refuel stations along that stretch, so that they can encourage people to move away from internal combustion engine cars and make sure that, okay, if I want to drive from Lagos to Calabar within 6 hours, and I'm driving a CNG fire car or truck, at maybe 200 kilometers down the line, will I be able to just fill it up very easily? For example, also is looking at electric vehicles. Can we have super fast charging stations along that stretch of the highway? It can be a pilot phase, so that if I'm living in Lagos, I can confidently say I want to buy an electric vehicle. If I'm going to Ondo, Delta, Calabar, Cross River, all those places, I know that for my EV charge, if I charge full charge from my base in Lagos, by the time I get midway, maybe my electric vehicle gives me a mileage of 400 kilometers, I can charge just one more time to get to Calabar, and vice versa. So these are things, the value chain, as I said, is extensive. These are things that investors can look to play in. Cold chain, can you have cold storage facility along that stretch? People are moving in fresh tomatoes, for example, from maybe Calabar or fruits or whatever. They pack somewhere along that stretch, and there are ways to preserve the fresh produce that is coming from these farms down to Lagos, where there's high demand for them. There's an extensive value chain. Investors just need to look at where they really want to play. But again, all of this will only happen if the road gets completed, or the rate of completion is going very fast. So it's something that is very interesting for investors to look at, but we really hope the project moves as fast as possible.
The Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is more than just another road project. It is a strategic investment in Nigeria's future. Designed to connect key coastal states from Lagos to Calabar, the highway is expected to improve transportation, reduce travel time, and open up new economic opportunities across the southern corridor. For decades, many coastal communities have faced challenges with access, movement of goods, and limited infrastructure. This road aims to change that by creating a direct route that can support trade, tourism, agriculture, housing, and industrial growth. It is also expected to ease pressure on existing highways, improve regional integration, and attract both local and foreign investment into underserved areas. Now, simply put, the road is about connectivity, development, and unlocking the economic potential of Nigeria's coastline. Some people are towing this line. What about Gbenga Adigun?
First of all, that project is not, I thought I was saying maybe 8 years. 5 years would be it will be super achieving by the government if they can do it in 5 years. I think it's 8 years. Even that 8 years, we hope it works. There are many similar roads that would have made tremendous economic impact on the country and directly added to our GDP. Some of those roads have not been completed or partially completed or even altogether abandoned. You have the East-West Road, for example, since about 2005 when Obasanjo was there. 3 or 4 regimes have come and gone. East-West Road is still uncompleted. You have the Kaduna, Zaria, Kano Road, still uncompleted. You have the Abuja-Lokoja Road, still uncompleted. There are many of these roads that would have made tremendous economic impact. They are still uncompleted. So people have also argued that the existing roads, if refurbished and rehabilitated, may even do just as much economic good. That's another conversation for another day. So I have a lot to say regarding this question, but just putting it together, It's okay for the government to decide wherever they want to start from. That's totally fine. We want to believe they are experts on the project, they know what they're doing. Then also, there's something else a lot of us may not be paying attention to. Everybody's singing, getting sentimental about the Oniru axis tourism development that has been affected, that you said you went yesterday. If you look at how many people that have been affected, both the investors and the people who benefit and the people who do business there, it might just be a paltry amount. What they will be contributing to the GDP may just be almost difficult to measure. And if you look for ways to measure it, maybe a few tens of millions of dollars to your GDP, which is less than 0.0001% of your GDP, compared to having the road fully functional, where you can have 50 of those kind of resorts along that stretch. You can have 50, you can have 100. You would have hotels, you would have, just name it, you name it. You would have beaches, several multiple beaches. You have competition. When there's competition, prices of things come down. When there's competition, there's innovation. When there's competition, there's specialization. A lot of people who come to play in the same industry along that stretch, what value chain whatsoever will be created from that road, there will be more people, more players in that space. So there's something the government does, no matter the argument anybody brings, which is when something is done for the greater good of people, greater good, then it's a plausible conversation to have. Say, okay, the current tourism setup here in this space is benefiting so number of people, let's say 100,000 people. But what we are doing when it's done will benefit tens of millions of people. So it's an argument for this or that. Again, at the end of the day, we want to believe the government is doing this for the benefit of the country. But a lot of people have also asked, how will they fund this thing? 15 trillion naira project, which is about half of your entire government expenditure for the whole year, half of your budget. Where will the money come from? People have asked questions. You even started this project before you announced it. You started this project before or while convening the ESIA, Environmental Social Impact Assessment of the when you convened all the stakeholders. So these are the many questions about how the project was awarded, was approved, and all of that. Maybe there are questions around it, but if there's sincerity of purpose, this project supersedes what anybody wants to complain about. Yes, there will be few pains, few losses. We sympathize with all those who have invested and probably lost a few things, but it will be for the greater good. And then starting it from Lagos to VI is also a reasonable one, because from Ahmadu Bello to the Lagos Free Trade Zone, which is about 47 kilometers, it's also a good one because this is the commercially viable stretch. This will be the most commercially viable stretch of that road for now, as we can see, because of the refinery and Victoria Island and everything in between. So if they start tolling that road, it may help to generate funds that will be used to deploy, that will be deployed in fixing the rest of the road, because the model is EPC plus, which is engineering, procurement, and construction plus finance, which means the company who got the contract, in this case High-Tech, is going to use some of their money to finance it. That is a lot of money that they may not be able to get. So if you focus on the most commercially viable stretch of the road and launch it, you can now generate tools to use to complete the rest of it, because the government is not coming all of the money. We are hearing just about 30%. So yes, there will be pains, people will get hurt, people will lose a few things, but yes, if there's sincerity of purpose, it's a wonderful thing. It can literally contribute hundreds of billions of dollars to our GDP. I've mentioned the things that can happen. Let's think of what could be. What is on ground is what is. You have a tourism ecosystem where there's a beach, there are restaurants, there are different things for fun and recreational activities. You can have 50 of those, hundreds of those along that stretch of the way. Right now, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention them, just one or two big name companies that benefit or own or control all of that revenue. They can be 30, 40, 50. They claim right now they employ maybe 5,000, 10,000 people. I can't remember the exact numbers. We can have 50 of 10,000 operators along that stretch of the way, generating more employment, which in turn, would contribute to the GDP. Those people are employed, their families will depend on them, they will pay school fees, they would buy things, consumer spending, and circular flow of money. That's what is the real difference between the developed economies and our country in this side of the world. When water doesn't flow, it stinks. Stagnant water is a problem. It has to flow to be fresh. When money comes in and is going around from person to person one way or the other, in economics, $100, there's something called trading intensity, can be traded multiple times, and just that one same $100 can become $200,000 because it has gone through many hands and has achieved a lot of things, buying and selling and the rest of it. So again, it's very easy to get sentimental. It's very easy to feel like, oh, the government shouldn't have done this. It's very easy to say somebody is affected, livelihoods are affected, and tourism would go down. Tourism, we didn't have enough of it. The little we have, they are taking it away. It's very easy to say all of that. Yes, there will be pains, there will be pinches here and there. But if there's sincerity of purpose, which means if they truly complete this project, 1 trillion has already been released from the Ahmadu Bello to the Dangote refinery area stretch, about 47 kilometers. If they complete this, just that first tranche of the road, we are going to see the tremendous economic benefits that it's going to have. Talking about picking things from Apapa Port, and you get on this road, and in a few minutes, you are down at Ibeju. Or you are lifting fuel from Dangote refinery, and you are coming back this way to distribute it into Lagos, which is still the singularly largest consumer of petroleum product. The value chain is extensive. I've talked about how people can have electric car charging, supercharging stations along that stretch, CNG, stations along that stretch. You can have so much infrastructure support along that stretch. You can have warehousing, you can have coaching, you can have cold rooms, you can have all these many things. Filling stations, even for petrol, mechanics. You can have trailer parks, truck parks. You can have so much. It's too numerous to recount. And the cost of food, for example, will come down if something is grown in Ondo State and within 2 hours it can be in Lagos. Did you know that, for example, I heard that 40% is just less than 40% of the tomatoes grown in the north make it down south here where we consume a lot of it. Less than 40%. Most of it rotting, gets spoiled on the way. All the foods we consume, less than 30% gets here. So if they can get here faster, then they can be cheaper. Then we have a healthier population. If we have a healthier population who can afford more of this nutritious meal, then you have a more productive population, and that also would affect your GDP. So it's very easy to get sentimental about the not so nice parts of this project, but I believe that if the project is completed with the plans alongside it, the final thing I must say is that free movement of goods and services and people, I repeat, free movement of goods and services and people is what develops an economy. And what helps free movement of goods and services and people is, number one, infrastructure, like the road, so that it really helps them to move freely. Then housing, all these people with their skills need to live somewhere. Then when you have all these things, you would see the attendant, in fact, the explosion in the economy. The government will not need to give any handouts, subsidies or anything to anybody. The economy is just going to self-repair. So infrastructure building is a big deal. But I must also say very quickly before I round up that another not so nice part I think I should touch upon is Nigeria has one of the most expensive construction rates in the world. This project is going to cost 4 billion naira per kilometer. Similar projects in places like Dubai, in Hong Kong, even in the US, have the costing may be as little as 1 billion. In fact, in places like Texas in the US, if there's a project, it is advertised and put on the board, and you hear this project was awarded at so price. Like letting everybody come up to say, is there an objection? I can build it cheaper, I can build it better. Come up with your own quote. So we really need to reduce the cost of construction in this side of the world so that we can have multiple of these kind of projects. For example, there is the Agbara Badagry-Sokoto stretch, which is a spur of this road. There's also the Enugu-Abakaliki, this place in Cross River, Ogoja, then Cameroon stretch, which is also a spur of this road, spins off it somewhere. If this is cheaper, then we can build many of these roads, because I'm hearing that just the Badagry to Sokoto will be costing about 20 trillion, which is more than half of even the country's budget. So who will fund this? Where would it come from? So these are the not so nice discussions about this project, but it's a laudable event at the end of the day, using basic economics, basic theory of free movement of goods and services and people. It really can help the economy to explode. Then another thing I forgot to say about what investors can look at, we can use this road as a pilot for a lot of technology. There are roads that, as you drive on them, they are charging electric cars. You can have a stretch of, out of the 700 kilometers, say 40 kilometers, drive on this stretch, you have an electric car. You don't have to stop, drive at a certain speed, it charges your car so that you can complete your journey. So these are the innovative things that we can look at incorporating when you have big mega projects like this, and help us to leapfrog, the serious technology gap that we have in this side of the world. So, but overall, it's a laudable project, hoping that there's sincerity of purpose and they see it through to completion.
Section 1 of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway is nearing completion and set for inauguration. Nigeria's Minister of Works, David Umahi, inspected the ongoing project and assured Nigerians that the road will soon be completed. Now, during the visit, he also condemned acts of vandalism that could hinder progress on the critical infrastructure project.
What we are encountering here, it's not new, but unfortunately we had done joint measurements, and when the test was carried out here, it was not discovered that the pit could go up to 21 meters. I've been told that the next 7 days the entire some filling will be done.
We have more than 15 meters depth of debris pit as the depth of what we have here, and ITEC has done practically everything possible to make sure it keeps some filling, we can keep dredging sand, but these materials has kept collapsing.
From Lagos to Calabar, a new road is rising along the coast. A road many hope will connect not just places but possibilities. And that's our show for today. For environmental recommendations and concerns, follow us on Kingschat, LN247, and space.com, LN247. You can also follow us on all other social media platforms. You can also send a mail, picture, or video to info2@ln247.news. Always remember that cleanliness is next to godliness. Therefore, be clean in thoughts, in words, and in deeds. Gimalo Angel, okay? Signing out.